All right, I'm going to try to do this and make it kind of quick for you. I know it's the last section of the book. It's Mother's Day and I have family coming, so I'm trying to do this quickly, guys. And it's raining, yeah. So this is the last section. You have the corner. All you have to do this week is watch the video, finish reading, and take your quiz. Do not forget to do that. Some of you forget things each week. Pay attention. Okay, I'm going to highlight a couple pages for you. Let's go to page 256. There's some evidence, of course. This is the part where they are going to be having a trial, and you'll learn a lot. I had kind of given you guys some stand and defend issues in this trial so that you could, be prepared to see. Should we enter into evidence what the psychiatrist knows about Perry's background, about his mental illness, and also the same thing about Dick's background and Dick's diagnosis. As you guys will learn, that was never allowed to be entered into evidence, so neither the jury nor the judge knows that. Something for you to ponder and for you to think about, okay? I think that Capote tries to objectively give you this information so that you as a reader can take away and say, wow, do I as a reader have any sympathy? I think particularly for Perry. Do you or do you not? And I want to discuss like two passages with you where you can really think about the different sides of Perry and whether or not you do have sympathy from him. Okay, so anyway, on page 256, there's evidence here that I think is probably on your quiz. Among the elements contributing to Dewey's confidence was the recovery of the radio and a pair of binoculars that the murders had stolen from the Clutter house and subsequently disposed of in Mexico City. Where having flown there for the purpose, the KBI, Agent Harold Nye, traced them to a pawn shop. Moreover, Smith, while dictating his statement, had revealed the whereabouts of other potent evidence. Okay, so that's I think a good spot for you to read. You can go on further. Perry talks about how he, gets rid of the evidence. Okay, so let's look at page 257. And this is something that I do want you to think about. If we had talked about this in class, I definitely would have had us discuss this. Maybe next week I'll have you do this for your last week. But there's a little italicized section, and it says, on Friday, the 15th of January, Mrs. Meyer playing the radio in her kitchen, and I heard a man say that the county attorney will seek the death penalty. This is what I want you to think about. The rich never hang, only the poor and the friendless. Going back to To Kill a Mockingbird, Atticus always thought that the jury system, that a courtroom was the one leveler that made it an equal playing field. But is it really equal? Think about that line. Only the poor and the friendless hang, not the rich. I'd like to definitely discuss that with you guys. Let's look at page 259. And here's a passage that I think I want you to compare this statement and think about the other one earlier where Perry had said, yeah, I liked Mr. Clutter. I liked that man right up until the moment where I slit his throat. That's one thing that Perry says. Now listen to this one. Neither Perry Smith's father nor sister wrote him or came to see him. Tex John Smith was presumed to be prospecting for gold somewhere in Alaska. Okay, then it goes on. The sister had told investigators that she was afraid of her brother, had requested that they please not let him know where her present address. When informed of this, so when they told Perry that, this is his response. Smith smiled slightly and said, I wish she'd been in that house that night. What a sweet scene. Think about that. He's basically saying, I wish I could have killed my sister that night along with all the Clutters. Okay, so think about, do you have sympathy for him? Now, I want to go on to page 275. Again, we're thinking about sympathy for Perry. Okay. Perry, it's a long passage, and I'm not going to read all of it, but I just want to go back and think about that family dynamics with Perry. He says, there was no rule or discipline or anyone to show me right from wrong. I came and I went as I pleased until my first encounter with trouble. I was in and out of detention homes many, many times for running away from home and stealing. I remember one place I was sent to. I had weak kidneys. I wet the bed every night. This was very humiliating to me, but I couldn't control myself. I was very severely beaten by the cottage mistress, who had called me names and made fun of me in front of all the boys. She used to come around at all hours of the night to see if I wet the bed. She would throw back the covers and furiously beat me with a large black leather belt, pull me out of bed by my hair, drag me to the bathroom and throw me in the tub, turn on cold water, and tell me to wash myself in the sheets. Every night was a nightmare. Later on, she thought it was funny to put some kind of an ointment on my penis. That was almost unbearable. It burned something terrible. She was later discharged from her job, but this never changed my mind about her or what I wished I could have done to her and all the people who made fun of me. Now, I hope by now you guys are aware that Dick and Perry, even though Dick always claims, baby, I'm a normal, they're not normal. They do have true psychiatric illnesses. But again, I looking at Perry's life and his upbringing, and then contrasting that with the way that he acts and behaves and the sheer rage and hatred that he has for people, do you have sympathy for him? Okay, I want you to look at, 278. So, they get evaluated. They both write letters. A psychiatrist does evaluate them. So here it's revealed, Dick reveals his, the fact that he's a pedophile. And he says on page 278, I know it's wrong, but at the time I never give any thought to whether it's right or wrong. The same with stealing. It seems to be an impulse. One thing I never told you about the clutter deal is this. Before I ever went to their house, I knew there would be a girl there. I think that's the main reason I went there. Not to rob them, but to rape the girl. Because I thought a lot about it. That's the one reason why I never wanted to turn back once we started. Even when I saw there was no safe. I did make some advances toward the clutter girl when I was there, but Perry never gave me a chance. Now, he's embarrassed by that. He doesn't want people to know that. He's not even aware that Perry's already told everybody that, Dick's a pedophile, and he was not, over his dead body, was he going to let Dick rape Nancy. Perry has some erratic sympathy and some erratic morals, which you've seen. Okay, let's go to page 295. Okay, so there are two diagnoses. The first one is for Dick, and it's on 295. He says he cannot tolerate feelings of frustration as a mere normal person can. He is poorly able to rid himself of those feelings, except through antisocial activity. His self-esteem is very low, and he secretly feels inferior to others and is sexually inadequate. These feelings seem to be overcompensated for by the dreams of being rich and powerful, a tendency to brag about his exploits, spending sprees when he has money, and dissatisfaction with only the normal slow advancement that he could expect from his job. Kind of goes on there. In summary, he shows very typical characteristics of what would psychiatrically be called a severe character disorder. Okay, so that's Dick. So we know, again, like inner Dick, outer Dick, he has severe character disorder. And honestly, even if he does know right from wrong, he doesn't care about right from wrong. Okay, now Perry, you guys have to read this part. This part to me was very intriguing. I couldn't put this part of the book down when I was reading about Perry. If you go to page 297, actually I'll just start at the bottom. Okay, so he seems to have grown up without direction, without love, without ever having absorbed any fixed sense of moral values. He is oriented, hyper alert to things going on about him, and shows no sign of confusion. He is above average in intelligence and has a good range of information considering his poor educational background. Two features in his personality makeup stand out as particularly pathological. I mean, he's definitely pathological. The first is his paranoid orientation toward the world. He is suspicious and distrustful of others, tends to feel that others discriminate against him, and feels that others are unfair to him and do not understand him. He is overly sensitive to criticism that others make of him and cannot tolerate being made fun of. He is quick to sense slight or insult in things others say and frequently may misinterpret well-meant communications. He feels he has a great need of friendship and understanding, but he is reluctant to confide in others, and when he does, he expects to be misunderstood or even betrayed. In evaluating the intentions and feelings of others, his ability to separate the real situation from his own mental projections is very poor. I mean, he's a mess. He not infrequently groups all people together as being hypocritical, hostile, and deserving of whatever it is he is able to do to them. Akin to this first trait is the second, an ever-present, poorly controlled rage, easily triggered by any feeling of being tricked, slighted, or labeled inferior by others. For the most part, his rages in the past have been directed at authority figures, his father, his brother. Okay, I'm going to go on because I think it goes on quite a bit here. If you look on, flip to the next page on 298, I'm just going to kind of skip ahead there. This emotional detachment and blandness in certain areas is other evidence of his mental abnormality. More extensive evaluation would be necessary to make an exact psychiatric diagnosis, but his present personality structure is very nearly that of a paranoid schizophrenic reaction. So, I hope you guys have enjoyed the book. I know it's a difficult read, and I by no means wanted to teach it to you through distance learning, but it's what we had to do. So please email me if you have questions. And you guys, email me using my school email. Some of you still email me on Canvas. I don't check Canvas all the time, but my school email, I check all the time. So for the best results, email me directly. Finish strong. We have a couple more days. That's it. And I hope to see you all, if nothing else, by next year for sure. All right. Have a great one. Do well on your quiz and be good to your moms. Bye.